Hello and welcome to this video after action report of Chain of Command. This is a game set during the Battle of Monte Cassino between January and May of 1944. And what we've got today is the Indian 4th Division are starting their attack down the valley from the north by the town of Cairo, I think it's pronounced, I've never said it out loud, on their way to the actual monastery of Cassino itself. So they're in the valley below the monastery. This is a fictitious setup, but it's a typical Italian farm held by a German force, a platoon, with an attack by the Indians. I was thinking of using the German Fallschirmjäger, but they were more up in the monastery itself, and I don't really have the scenery for the rocky outcrop that the monastery itself was on. So this is going to have to do. But this is my first game in the Italian campaign, and I just thought I'd do a one-off. I did ask on Twitter which games people wanted to see played. There was an O group in Malaya which won out, which is one of my earlier videos. This came second, the Indians in Italy, so I thought, as it's Bank Holiday Monday, I'll set up a game and play it. And this is the after action report. So, as usual, I'll show you the table, I'll show you the forces involved, and we'll play this game. This is the scenario attack on an objective in the book. I've slightly moved the objective, i.e. the farm itself, slightly further forward than it normally would be. So the action should hot up pretty quickly, I would think. But this is the Indians' advance coming down this road here. They have a jumping off point over here. They have another one here behind this small hill. And then they also have another one here on the edge of this wood. I did the patrol phase, but I did it using I would like to rage. I always forget his name. I nearly call him I Ain't Been Shot. I would like to rage's patrol phase program that he has on the internet. I'll put a link for it in the description, but it really speeds up that whole patrol phase part of the game. It's well worth using. So I just used that and then laid out the jumping off points from that as well. We have over here the little farm itself, a little vineyard and farm that is being held. The German jumping off points, there's one here in the courtyard. We also have one in the main house itself, which is the objective. And there's one in the barn as well. I'm not going to pull that roof off because it'll probably upset everything. And then we also have one here in this small tower storehouse here on the edge as well. So they're basically concentrated in the farmyard itself. Not much else really to say about this, apart from this is the back end of the table. Hill over here, offering a bit of protection, and on the side as well, just like rises in the ground. I rarely use hills in Chain of Command, but I thought, given the mountains close by, there would probably be small rises in the ground, and also it just adds a bit of cover as well. So that's the table. That's the idea. The Indians have got to try to capture this objective, and I'll now show you the forces that are involved in that objective. Right, well here we have our two forces. I've organised the Indians along the same lines as the British in the main rules book. So this is 3 sections, each with 6 riflemen and a 3-man Bren gun team and a junior leader with a submachine gun. It's a Sten gun, but these guys are carrying Tommy guns. So that's the same for those. So it's 2 teams and a junior leader. They also have their lieutenant, senior leader, and a sergeant, another senior leader as well for the platoon. On top of this, they have a 2-inch mortar with 2 crew, so that's those guys there, and they also have a Piat as well with 2 crew. They rolled for their force supports, and they got a 6, so I basically spent it all on the N10 Wolverine, simply because I haven't had these on the table yet, so I wanted to put one on. It was that simple. The Germans, on the other hand, are pretty similar, actually. So each of their sections, 3 sections, each of 2 teams, one of a rifle team of 6 men, junior leader with a submachine gun, and then also an MG42 as well with 2 crew and a rifleman. So basically 1 more rifleman than the Indians have got. And that's those 3 sections. We also have our lieutenant in charge of the platoon itself, and they have a Panzerschreck as well, so at least they've got some integrated anti-tank weaponry as a team here. Also, each one of these sections has an integrated Panzerfaust as well, so they have at least 4 anti-tank bits of capability. Because of that, I decided to give them a Pioneer flamethrower team instead of any further bigger anti-tank guns. So they've got a 3-man team here with a flamethrower. These are particularly devastating when you can get them into an ambush position. So I thought they would be useful for a defence if they can jump out on and attack those attackers. So that's the setup. I've done the force morale for both sides, and both the Germans and the Indians rolled a 9 each. So that's where we're starting. The Indians, as their objective, is they've got to capture and hold that objective, the farmhouse, until the end of a turn. That means basically clear it out or destroy their opponent's force morale. So a couple of options for them really. Obviously the Germans have just got to hold it and do the opposite. The Indians get the start as they're attacking. So let's see what we've got. So we've got 5, so that's immediately a chain of command point for them. And then we've got 2 1s, a 2 and a 4. So that's quite a mix. That could be junior leader or 2 sections and a senior leader. Let's have a think about that and see what we can bring on, or a couple of teams even. So the Indians' first move, they've decided to bring on a section here behind the trees heading towards the farm itself, and another section here trying to flank around this side of it. The sergeant has also appeared as well with this section, and he's put them on overwatch. So that's as far as the Indians have done. And the defending Germans, okay, so we've got a 1, 2 2s, a 3 and a 4. That's quite a good mix, but probably not really for what they need right now, because I kind of want to see what the Indians are going to do and where their attack is going to come in. So it may just be, they might hold off, but I'll have a little think about that one. For the Germans, that was kind of a role they wanted a bit further into the game really, rather than this setting up, especially as defenders. So what they've done is they've literally just used 1 junior leader to put a squad on the front line of the buildings here down on the in the courtyard itself, and just put them on overwatch. Because again, I don't really want to. I want to see where the Indians are coming in before they'll start to line the lines. But at least now they're covering that area if anybody does move across it. Okay, back to the Indians. So they have 2 chain of command points. So that's pretty useful for them. So that takes them up to 3 straight away. And then we've got a senior leader, a 1, which is a team, and another senior leader as well. Using their roll of a 1, the Indians have deployed their 2-inch mortar, and then this is also firing smoke here to try to block this area here. So basically, literally all we do is roll a d6 and get the result. The result is a 1, so the round lands 6 inches to the right of the target. So that's forward, so the target to the right is here, so it's kind of fallen behind the hill, not exactly where they wanted. That's probably the worst thing that could have happened, because they tried to move this unit up next. That's going to be their next thing. And then the sergeant has ordered this section to move forward. They only managed to move 4 inches forward, but they're just at least behind these trees, still out of line of sight of that German unit on the corner. They were hoping that the smoke would be able to allow them to get round this back end of the villa itself, but maybe next time. Well, the Germans are obviously alert that there's somebody in the area, since there's smoke dropping now, so they've got a 5, so that gives them a chain of command point, their first one. They've also got a 1, a 2, a 1 and a 1, so that's 3 1s and a 4, so that's a senior leader. They only have 1 though, unfortunately for them, and 3 1s, which could be a section, a junior leader, or a section and a team. Let's have a think about this one. The Germans have decided to use the 3s combined into a junior leader and put a section actually in the farmhouse itself, upstairs, looking out of 3 windows on overwatch, overlooking that advance area. So at least they're ready for any Indians that do come. There's 6 windows there, so you can fire 2 men out of each window, so that will be the LMG and also 4 riflemen, so it's quite a number of barrels pointed out of there for them. Back to the Indians, let's see what they get. A 6 on its own is doing nothing, but they do get 2 chain of command points, which is useful. They have a 2 and a 3 as well, so that's a junior leader and a section, should they need it. So the Indians have used their squad, their section roll, their 2, to get this section to move as fast as they can using 3 dice up to the hedge line. They've skirted around the outside of this wooded area, just slightly out of line of sight of the Germans at that fence line over there, and they've got here this far here. Because they moved fast, it's caused a shock on each of the team. It's something I rarely do because I don't like giving shock to teams, but in this case I wanted them to make sure that they got to that point, and they did. And the next action is using a junior leader to bring on their Wolverine. It has to come onto the road because vehicles do, but it's going to get off that road as quick as possible because it could be subject to a surprise attack by a Panzerfaust or Panzerschreck. So it's just basically arrived at this point and is gunning up its engine. Okay, German. Let's see what they get. So 6 does nothing on its own, and they have a 2, a 1, another 2, and a 3. So that's 1, 2 2s, and a 3. So again, they can't really, or they probably don't really want to do a great deal with that until they can actually see the Indians and fire at them. So again, they're going to pass the turn, which I know is allowing the Indians kind of to get into position, into a better position, but the Germans are already in a good position, so why move? So back to the Indians. So that's a good spread for them. So we've got a 1, 3 2s, and a 3. So that's a couple of junior leaders, or possibly a senior leader, or a few sections. So that's quite a good spread for them, what they need right now. Okay, using that combination, the Indians have moved forward their M10 flat out. They've brought on another section on the left-hand flank to support the attack when it does go in. And they're now throwing smoke with this section over here with the junior leader. They're going to try to get it into here. They're going to be rolling 2d6, and that's basically where it lands. Let's have a look. 9 inches. So from this guy here, 9 inches is exactly where they needed it. And then he will use his next command initiative to get that section to move forward as well. Right, well, we're back in with the Germans. Well, let's see what we got. 5 is a chain of command points, so that takes them up to 2. They really need more at this point, to be honest. But let's have a look. We've got 2 1s, a 2, and a 4. So quite a mix there. Let's just have a little think about what they might want to do with those. Now, with the Indians starting to flank the position, the Germans have brought on their final section to hold that back end of the villa itself. Instead of deploying in the barn, they deployed into the vineyard here, and they're going to try to man these walls if they get a chance to in the next turn. They can't fire at the Indians because there's too much in the way. I'm going to say these walls are too high unless you're up against them, and you've got these fields and things. Once they're up against those walls, they'll be able to fire, but right now they've literally just deployed and are trying to get into position. So it's back to the Indians' turn. Right, Indians have, let's have a look, 6 on its own is doing nothing. 2 chain of command points, so that takes them up to a full chain of command dice and 3 points. Not that I really need it. And then 2 4s, which is 2 senior leaders. That's quite useful. They could bring on their second senior leader and use their sergeant to get this section moving forward as well. So let's just see what they do with those. So the Indians have brought on their lieutenants. They're leaving behind their Piet team, so that's going to be more difficult for that to deploy, but there's no German armour, so I'm not so worried about that. However, he is just in range of the mortar team over here, so he's going to get them to fire smoke and hopefully put it down here. This is going to be their aiming points or thereabouts, and then he's going to get this section to move forward, obviously depending on what happens with the smoke. So let's see what happens with the smoke. It's first of all 4 rounds hits the target if there is line of sight. Unfortunately there isn't line of sight, so it lands 6 inches short of the target. The smoke is actually back here, but that's still, well actually no, the smoke is actually in this wood because that is short from where the mortar is. So unfortunately it's landed in the wood and it's pretty useless there because you can't see into the wood anyway. Let's just get that in there just so we know where it is. And now do we get this section to move forward? They instead will throw smoke, and they're going to be throwing it 2d6 forward. So let's see what they do, and that is 7. So that has landed there instead. A lot of smoke in this game. And that's cost the commander 2 of his activations, so that's 3 of them gone. He has one final one, which he will then get these guys to move forward, and they are going to move forward. So look, 11 inches, but they're just going to come up to behind that smoke, so they're still in cover, they can't be shot at. So this is as far forward as they're getting. Okay, what the Germans really need to do here is end the turn so they can get rid of that smoke. 2 6s. That means they retain the phase. We've got senior leader with a 4 there, we've got a 3, junior leader and a 2, a section. So they can actually get some men moving forward and start doing some bits and pieces here. Okay, knowing that they were going to be retaining the phase, they used the junior leader to order this squad to move forward, and they rolled a double 1. So they haven't even made it to the edge of the vineyard yet. They're stumbling about in the roots and things, but at least they do get another chance to move, well, perhaps in the next turn anyway, the next phase. So let's see if they do. They aren't using anything else, they only had a 2 and a 4, so again they can't really do much. They don't want to bring on that senior leader because they've still got 2 teams that they want to bring on at some point. So I'm just holding off with a senior leader for now. So the Germans' next phase is we have, let's see, a 1, 3 2s and a 3. So loads of stuff that they would be very useful if they were attacking rather than defending. But let's just see what they do with those. Right, this time round we've got the junior leader of the Germans to actually move this section forward. They managed to get to the wall this time. They've only moved 1 dice, so they can fire, but they're firing at half their effect. The Indians are in the open and in line of sight from that position. The Germans are rolling 7 dice. They need 4 5s and 6s to hit, so let's see if they do. So we got 1, 2 misses, and how many hits? 5 hits. So that's going to be 2 on the LMG team and 3 on the rifles. So let's do the rifles. 5 6s are kills, 3 4 is shock. Let's have a look. So we got 2 kills and a shock. So I'll just get that shock on first. That's on the rifles. Now we've got to see if that kill, let's see how many kills we got in total across the entire board. So we've got 2 so far, and then on the LMG team, so look, 2 more kills. So that's 4 kills in total. So I'll just take those off. Well, hang on, first of all, got to find out if it's the junior or the senior leader. Under a 4, and it is. 1, it's one of them. So let's see, 1 to 3, it's a junior. 4 to 6, it's a senior. It's a senior leader. So let's see what happens to him. A 1, he's killed outright. That is not good. Right, okay, so that's our sergeant is dead. And then we also have 3 more kills. So I'm going to take 2 off the rifles and 1 from the LMG team. So that immediately is a bad things happen roll for the Indians. This is completely unexpected. Senior leader killed. Roll our dice. A 2 is minus 2 points on their force morale. So that's quite a smack already straight away for the Indians. And they've not even started their attack. Well, despite their sergeant being killed, the Indians still have to push on. So it's back to their turn. Let's have a look. We've got double 6, so that's good for them. That retains the phase. 5 gives them another chain of command point. Should have really interrupted that last turn, but didn't think about that. Anyway, we've got a 3 and a 2, so that's a section and a junior leader. But first of all, the Indians are going to return fire at those Germans there after their junior leader has reduced the shock on this section. So they are firing at they've got the 6 for their LMG, and then another, I think it's 4 rifles. So let's see how many hits we get. They're hitting on 4, 5, 6, but the Germans are in light cover because they're up against that wall, and they're actually firing over it. They're not actually behind it below. So let's see what happens. We've got 4, 5, 6s. We'll get rid of our misses. We've got 1, 2, 3 misses. That's a goodly number actually. And we've got 3, 6, 7 hits. So 3 are on the LMG, 4 on the rifles. So we'll do the LMG first of all. 6 are the kills. Let's have a look. So that's 1 kill, but no shock. So we'll just keep that to one side for a second. And then we've also got 4 hits on the rifles. Same again, 4, 5 is shock this time. So the rifles have taken 2 shock. They've had 1 kill on the LMG team, but let's just see if that's on their junior leader. A 1, and it is. Reroll that in the thing itself. A 5, no it's not, so it's just one of the rifles out of the rifleman from the LMG team. So it's our second Indian phase, and we have quite a good number there. So let's see, 2 1s, a 2, and 2 3s. So that's quite a good combination of things actually. First things first, they're using their section over here to fire again at those Germans in the vineyard. So let's see what happens. 4, 5, 6 are hits. So we've got their misses there, 2 and a 1. Take those out, and well, only 3 hits this time. So let's see, that's 1 hit on the LMG and 2 on the rifle team. So do the LMG first of all. 6 is a kill. No, nothing, no effects. And then 2 on the rifles, and that's a 4 and a 5, so that's 2 more shock on those rifles. So that's taken them up to 3 at least. Meanwhile, on this flank, the Indians have actually pushed forward into the woods and got to the edge of it, and they've moved 2d6, so they can't actually fire. But what we're trying to do is stop these Germans from having overwatch and being able to watch this area here. So I'll just shove them forward for now while the main attack is going on the other side. The Germans are firing overwatch, so that comes off, and they get 1 burst of fire, which is their LMG, and also 4 rifles out of those windows. So let's see what happens. 4, 5, 6 are hits in this case, so we'll take out all our misses, and we've got only 4 hits, which is good for the Indians, spread across their 2 teams. So 2 on the LMG, 2 on the rifles. They're in light cover, so 6 is a kill, 4, 5 is shock. So the rifles have taken a 2 and a 3, so that's nothing, and the LMG is a 2 and a 3 as well, so that is also nothing. So that tactic seems to have proven to be okay, so at least they can probably pin this section down now, while the rest attack on the other side of the villa. And the final things the Indians have done is brought forward the M10, smashed it through that fence again, through the hedge, and that is now in a position to fire. But because it moved with 3 dice, it can't actually do anything for the rest of the turn, but it is at least in a position now to fire. Right then, back to our Germans. Let's see what happens. 6 on its own is doing nothing. They've got a 1, 2 3s, which is junior leaders, and a 4, which is a senior leader as well. Right, the Germans have used their 1 to deploy their flamethrower team. However, before it fires at the Wolverine, which it's going to do, the Wolverine is going to fire at it by using their chain of command dice to interrupt the turn. So they're basically going to fire at them with their HE. 4, 5, 6 as a hits. Let's have a look. So we've hit on 5 of them, and they're in the open. They ignore cover anyway because it's HE firing at them. So 5, 6 as a kills, 3, 4 shock. So let's see if this wipes out the flamethrower team or not. And no, it causes 2 shock on them and nothing else. So the flamethrower team are able to fire back with a -1 dice off their 12. This ignores cover. It has to hit first of all, 4, 5, 6s to hit first of all, and then any kills are ignored, but shock is doubled. It's ignoring the kills because it's firing as an armoured vehicle. So let's see how many hits we get anyway. Sorry, tell you what, re-roll those. So didn't take off that extra dice, so let's re-roll those with the 11. So we've actually hit, ooh, not as good as the Germans were hoping there. So that's 3 hits. We re-roll those to see what happens, and we're looking at 4s, 3s and 4s to shock. So that's 2 shocks, so that doubles. 4 shock. If you get as many shock as there are men in the vehicle, they abandon it. So there's 4 crew in there, they've abandoned it, so at least they haven't destroyed the vehicle, but they've actually emptied it of men. Our next German junior leader has reduced shock, and then he's firing again at the Indians over here in the open. So let's have a look at them. 4, 5, 6 as a hits. So we're removing all the misses, and we have 6 hits spread across those 2 teams. So 3 on the LMG, 3 on the rifles. Do the rifles first. There is also a junior leader in there as well, so let's just have a look. The rifles have taken 2 shock and a kill. So we'll just put that kill to one side for now. We'll tot up how many we get at the end of this. So that's for the rifles. Then the LMG, so that's another kill and another shock on them as well. So let's see, so that's 2 kills in total. So let's see if that is on our junior leader. 1 or 2 it is. No, it's not. So it's 1 of the rifles and the crew from the LMG. So the LMG, now he's down to 1 crew and is only firing, I think, on 4 dice. And our final German junior leader is getting the guys in the villa itself to fire again at these in the light cover. So 4, 5, 6 as a hits. Let's have a look so we see how many misses we've got. That is, hits are 7 hits, so 3 on the LMG and 4 on the rifles. Let's have a look at what we get. These are in light cover, so that is 2 shock on the rifles and no kills, and then on the LMG 6, 1 kill and also 1 shock on that LMG as well. So let's just see if that's on their junior leader. 1, and it is. 5, no it's not, so it's 1 of the crew from the LMG. And the final thing the Germans are doing is using their 4 to bring on their senior leader, because they don't need that Panzer Schreck anymore, to be honest, because the armoured threat has disappeared. So he's there. He's actually within command range of the 3 sections, so he can actually command them on the roll of a 4 as well. Right, we're back to the Indians. God, this is turning into a pretty uncoordinated attack. I was hoping for better for them in their turn. Right, that's 3 6s, that ends a turn, all smoke disappears, which is not great. This is going from bad to worse for them. They do retain the phase, but they also get 2 chain of command points, so they have another chain of command dice at least, so that's not bad. But I'll take all the smoke off. That also means that the Germans that were on Overwatch are now off Overwatch as well, so at least they're not getting shot at immediately, but they are pretty much in the open at this point. But let's have a look anyway with their next phase. 6 is doing nothing. 2 3s are 2 junior leaders, a senior leader and a team as well. Right, the Indians are trying to get a bit of coordination back in, so they're using their senior leader. He's moved forward for 1 command initiative. They've also deployed their Piat as well. I rolled for it and they rolled a 4, so they were able to deploy. It's 2 extra rifles, just get them on the table. He is ordering the mortar to fire explosive for the Germans behind that wall, and then getting this section as well to fire at the Germans that they can see, the 5 of them. So we'll do the mortar first of all. It's hitting on a 5 or a 6 because they're out of line of sight. 1 hit, 1 miss. It's hitting them as though they're in the open, so 5 or a 6 is a kill. So look, a 4 is 1 shock on those Germans, so that's going to be on their rifle section. Then next up we've got the section firing as well. And they're firing everything they've got. Again, only at 5 targets because that's all they can see really. So we're looking at 4, 5, 6s to hit. So we'll get rid of our misses. And that is 4 hits. There is an LMG team in there. So it's 2 on the LMGs, 2 on the rifles. We'll do the rifles first. They're in light cover. So 6 are kills. A 5 is 1 shock. They've already got 1 shock, so that takes them up to 2. So just turn that over, and then 2 hits on that LMG team. The LMG team takes 1 shock, so not particularly effective. One thing I forgot to do was to roll for the bad things happen for the loss of the M10, so let's just roll for that first of all. It's a support unit routed rather than killed, so a 1 is a -1 point for the Indians, so that takes them down to 6. So it doesn't really affect them too badly, but obviously it still affects them. So anyway, we're now firing with this section with their junior leader. He's also reduced shock by 1. and he's firing back at those Germans behind that wall. So let's have a look. Looking at 4, 5, 6s to hit. That is one hit. So the Germans decide to put it onto their rifles. So they're behind cover, so that gives them another point of shock. So they're already on 2, so up to 3. And then we've got another junior leader. The last one, he's reduced shock again over here. And then with his other activation, getting them to fire at the Germans in the villa itself. So looking at 4, 5, 6s to hit. Let's have a look at this one. That's 5 hits, sorry. So the Germans put 3 onto the rifles and 2 onto the LMG. So we'll do the rifles. 6 as the kills. 1 shock for those rifles, and then the 2 hits on the LMG is another shock. So 1 shock on each of those teams. The Germans, on their next turn is, let me just re-roll that one again. That was cocked dice. So we've got 2 5s. That's 2 chain of command points. A 4, a 1, and a 4. So that's a team and 2 senior leaders. They only have 1 senior leader, but he's in the perfect position to command everybody. Okay, the first thing that's happened is the Germans have used that 1 to activate their flamethrower team. It's fired. However, the Indians have interrupted that firing with their chain of command dice, and they've moved this squad and section with their senior leader and fallen back about 10 inches. So they're just outside of the range of the flamethrower at least. Otherwise that would have been a particularly nasty situation. Then we've got our German senior leader, and he is ordering this section to fire at the Indians here, and this section to fire at the Indians here as well. So we'll start with the first ones in the vineyard, and they are hitting on 4, 5, 6s. So let's just see how many hits we got there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of all of those, and they're in the open. So that's going to be because they're in the open, the Germans are going to choose 3 hits on the rifles and 2 hits on the LMG. So we'll do the LMG team first. 5 or 6, there's only 1 guy left. 6, that's killed him. Let's just keep that to one side for a second because it may affect their junior leader. And then they have 3 hits on those rifles. So that's 2 more kills. So that's 3 kills in total. Let's see how many of those are on the junior leaders. 6, no. It's on, so it's killed the team and 2 of the rifles. So we've got team wiped out. Let's roll for that. First of all, for that LMG team, 6 is a point off. So the Indians are now down on 5 on their force morale. And then we've got the firing coming in from the other side. We've got an LMG and 2 rifles firing from there. And I'm going to put them in light cover because they're behind this brush here, but they can see them. So I'm going to just put them in light cover. So we're hitting on 4, 5, 6s. This time it's only 2 hits. Let's see how many of those kill, but they are in light cover. So 6 is a kill, 4, 5 is shock. So that's another shock on them. So that makes them pinned because there's only 2 men there. So they are now in a pinned state. And then the Germans have got their final senior leader command is firing down at the Indians in the light cover of the trees there. So they're hitting on 4, 5, 6s. So let's see how many we've got. Get rid of our misses this time. So we've got 5 hits on the 2 different teams. They're in cover, so they choose. So 2 on the LMG and 3 on the rifles. So the rifles first, 6 the kills. So that's 1 kill on the rifles. And then on that LMG team, 2 hits on them, another kill. So that's 2 kills in total. So let's see if that's on the junior leader. 1 or 2 it is. No, it isn't. So it's 1 kill on a rifle and 1 kill on the LMG team. So the LMG team now is down to 1 man. So that means they have reduced their firepower. Right, so Indians, they have 2 6s. So that is, they retain the phase. A 5 gives them a chain of command points, and then 2 1s. So that's either a section or 2 teams. So they're using the section to fire at the villa. I'm sorry, I thought that the LMG team had been reduced down. They haven't actually. They've still got 2 men in there, so they can still fire at full power. But they're -1 dice because of shock. So let's have a look. 4, 5, 6 are hits. So we've got 1, 2. That's 6 hits. They're in heavy cover, so that's 3 on the LMG team and 3 on the rifles. So heavy cover, 6 of the kills, 5 is shock. So let's have a look. So that's 1 kill and 2 shock. So those are, that's on the rifles. The LMG team, nothing at all, so it's just 2 shock on the rifles. There's a chance Ricochet could hit the junior leader. Let's have a look. A 1 and it does. It does. Let's see what happens. A 2, he's wounded, but he's lightly wounded, so that's going to be a bad things happen roll. A 1, 4, 5, 6, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it's a -1. A 5, so the Germans have lost their first force morale. So that German junior leader can't be activated till for the rest of the turn. So back to the Indians phase. So a 5 on its own does nothing. 6 on its own does nothing. A 5 gives them a chain of command points, so they've got a 3, a 1, and a 2. So they could mix those up into different things. Let's have a think about that. Right, so I've turned the 2 and 3 and the 1 into a senior leader. He's activated this squad, this section, to move forward again and to fire at the team, the flamethrower team. So they're hitting on 4, 5s and 6s, and they've got 4 hits on that team. Let's see what happens. They're in the open. 5, 6 of the kills. So that's 1 kill and 2 more shock. So they are now on 4 shock. So that means they are pinned. Actually, no, they're broken. So that's a team broken. So they will retreat, which is kind of what they wanted to happen, really. And then we get a roll on the bad things happen for the team broke. A 5 is -1 point on the Germans' force morale, and they will retreat as well. And the Indians are using their section over here again to fire at the villa. 4, 5, 6 are hits, so I'll take out all these misses, and there's a lot of them. That's 3 hits. So let's see, that's going to be 1 on the LMG and 2 on the rifles. So we'll do the LMG first of all. 6 is a save, is a kill, sorry. 3 is nothing, they're in hard cover, the 5s and 6s. And the rifles, same again. That's 1 shock. Okay, let's see now what the Germans do with their turn. So they've got a 5 chain of command points, slowly creeping up there, very slowly. Get that out of the way. So they've got a 4, a 4, and 2 2s. So again, a pretty good mix actually. Right, the Germans are using their 4 for their senior leader. He's reduced shock on that flamethrower team, so they're no longer broken. He's getting these guys in the vineyard to fire again at the remains of this section down here. Oh, it's a team now, I suppose. So let's have a look. Go on. This is a lot of hits, and then he's also going to get the other sections to also fire as well. So we'll work our way through those. He's in the perfect position really at this point. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 7 hits on 2 men. Let's see, 5, 6 of the kills, and that's only 1 kill. But they've taken 3 shock, so that's 5. So that has broken that team at least, if nothing else. But let's see if the hit is on the junior leader. And 1, and it is. 4, no it isn't, so it's on that team, so that is gone. There's a junior leader there, so that's a team wiped out on the bad things happen. A 1 is no effect. Then over here we've got the Germans lining the fronts of the farm, and they're firing across at this Indian section here. I'm putting the Indians in light cover because there's this hedge in the way, but the Germans can fire at them because they can see them through the hole in the hedge, and also because they're aware that they're there anyway, so I'm allowing that. So we're looking at 4, 5, 6s to hit in the first place. Let's remove all our misses. We've got 4, 6, 7 hits, so they're not in the open, so I'm going to put, the Germans are going to put 4 on the LMG team and 3 on the rifles. They're killing on a 6, 4, 5 on shock. So let's have a look. So the rifles, so that's 1 shock on the rifles first of all. Let's put that down there. Nothing else. And then we've got 4 hits on that LMG team, and that's nothing. 3 1s and a 3. And our final German firing is from the villa, so with the 4 rifles and the LMG firing down on these section down here. So remove all our misses. Okay, that's quite a lot. So that's 7 hits. They're in cover, so 3 are going on the LMG team, of which there are 2 men left. 4 on the rifles, let's do them first. 6 as the kills, so that's 1 kill and 1 shock because they're in light cover. So that takes their shock up to 2. I'll just keep these kills to one side for a second. And then we've got the 3 hits on the LMG team, 6 as the kills, 4, 5 shock. So that's 2 shock on them, so that takes them up to 3. And we've got that 1 kill. Let's see if it's on the junior leader. And 1 it is. No, it's not. It's one of the rifles, so he's off. And they've got 5 shock, and they have 2, 4, 6 men in there, so they're close to being pinned, but not yet. Okay, that was the Germans, so back to the Indians. Let's see what they get. So they've got 4 senior leader, 2 3s, 2 junior leaders, 2 1s. So that's either 2 teams or a section. So the junior leader, one of them, has run back here. This is a guy who was on his own, didn't want to stand there getting shot at. Then we've got the mortars are firing under direction from the senior leader, so 5s and 6s to hit. 1 hit, they're firing on the Germans there. They are now in the open. So he's going on the rifles. 5 and 6 is a kill, so that's 1 kill. Is it the junior leader? A 1 it is. No, it isn't. Just one of the rifles. So they're off, so at least they've caused 1 casualty. And then we've got the senior leader is getting this section here as well to fire at the Germans in their light cover behind that fence line. So let's have a look. 4, 5, 6s. So we've got 1. Let's get rid of these misses. So we've got 3, 6, 7 hits. So Germans are in cover, so they choose where the hits land. So 3 are going to go on the LMG team. Let's have a look at that. And a 4 is 1 shock. They've already got 1, so that takes them up to 2. And then they've got 4 hits on those rifles. So that's 2 kills, but no shock. Let's see if that junior leader is hit. A 1 or a 2 he is. Yes, he's hit. So let's see what happens to him. A 6, he is lightly wounded, but that means there's a bad things happen roll. So let's see what happens there. A 3 is -1 on the German morale, so that drops them down to 6 now. And then we've got this Indian section firing again at the villa. Let's have a look. So we've got quite a few hits, so that's a miss. So that's 4 hits. 2 on the rifles, 2 on the LMG. Let's have a look. LMG is a 5, so that's 1 shock. And then 2 hits on the rifles. 2 and a 1 is nothing. Well, this is pretty punishing for both sides, but we're back to the German. Let's see where we go. 6 does nothing on its own. 2 5s is 2 chain of command points, so that takes them up to 6 and an extra 1, so that's 1 chain of command dice and another 1. And then 2 4s, which is senior leaders, so same again, that's their perfect roll basically. So our senior leader has reduced shock on the flamethrower team. He's also reduced shock on the section in the vineyard, and then he's getting this section over here to fire again at the Indians who are here in light cover. So let's just do that. 4 5 6 is a hit, and we've hit how many there? 2 4 6. So 3 on the LMG, 3 on the rifles. Do the rifles first. They're in light cover. 6 is a kills. 3 2 and 2 is nothing. And the LMG, the 6 is a kill, 3 does nothing on its own, and a 2 does nothing. So let's see if that kill is on one of their leaders. A 1 and it is. No, it's not, it's just one of the rifles, so he's off. Now it's those Germans in the villa, so they're firing down on the Indians here in the woodland. 4 5 6 is a hit here, so we're hitting on 4 hits. So that's 2 on each team. 2 on the LMG, 2 on the rifles. Do the rifles first. 6 is the kills, 4 5 shock. Nothing, that's a 2 and a 3. Then we've got on the LMG team, 6 is the kills, 4 5 shock. That's a kill and no shock. Let's see if that kill is on the junior leader. A 1 and it is. No, it isn't. Now we are down to 1 man on that LMG team, so that is now firing on 4 instead of 6 dice. The Indians, back to them. So we got a 5, it's a chain of command points. So that takes them up to 3. Senior leader, there's a 4, 2 1s and a 2. So quite a mix there. Okay, the Indian senior leader is getting this section and the mortars to fire, but before they do that the Germans are interrupting their turn with a chain of command dice, and they're firing with this section at these before they do anything. So 4, 5, 6 are hits. Let's see how many we have. That's only 4 this time. So 2 on each team, 2 on the LMG team, 6 as the kills, 4, 5 shock because they're in light cover, so that's 1 shock on the LMG team there. And then those 2 hits on the rifles, same again. 4 is another shock on them. So that's reduced their firing dice down by 1. But we're starting with the mortars. They're hitting on a 4, 5 or 6. That's 1 hit. They've only got 3 rounds of firing actually, so the next one is their last. And let's see what happens. They're in the open because it reduces cover. A 6 is a kill, and it was going to go on the rifles. Let's see if it's on their junior leader. Yes, he is hit. And what happens to him? Actually, he's already wounded. The least he can get is to be wounded again. So he is actually killed by the mortar fire because he's already got 1 wound. So let's see what happens. This time, a 5 with a junior leader killed is 2 points off the Germans' morale. So they are, oh god, they've just slipped down to 4, and that junior leader is off. He was obviously a liked man. And then we've also got the LMGs and the rifles firing now. They're firing with 11 dice, so let's have a look, see what they get. Shooting into light cover, so how many misses have we got here? This is horribly close at this point. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8 hits, so 4 on each on the LMG and on the rifles. So let's do the LMG first. 6 is the kills, so that's 1 kill and 2 shock on that LMG, so that takes that LMG up to 4 shock. Because it's part of that team, that's 6 in total. Let's just see, but that has pinned them because there's 6 men in there, so they are now pinned. But that's 1 kill on the LMG team, so we'll take that guy off as well. Then they got 4 hits on those rifles, same again, 6 as the kills. So that's another kill and another shock. So that has actually pushed them beyond. So they are now on 7 shock with 5 men in there. So they are definitely pinned, but they haven't broken yet. And then the Indian junior leader over here has reduced shock, and then they are firing again at that villa. Let's see, 4, 5, 6 is a hits here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 hits. 2 on each, 2 on the rifles, 2 on the LMG. So let's see for the rifles. A 3 and a 2 is no effect. They need 5s and 6s. So the LMG team, 5 and a 6. So a 5 is 1 shock on that LMG team. Right, well, that's kind of swung the game almost towards the Indians that last turn. The Germans are down to 4 dice this time, so 6 does nothing alone. They get 1 chain of command point from that 5. Then they got 3 and a 1, so they will probably turn that into a senior leader. Okay, in this turn the Germans haven't done a great deal. What they've done is they've moved their senior leader towards this section over here and reduced shock. He's reduced shock on the flamethrowers, and then he's also got this section to move out of the vineyard, and they're now moving across these fields to try to flank this final section of the Indians. So that's really all they can do. It's just a lot of manoeuvring at this point. So we're back with the Indians, and we've got 6 on its own doing nothing. 2 5s gives them a chain of command point, 2 chain of command points, so that takes them up to 5. And 3 and a 1, turn that into a 4. That's a senior leader. Okay, senior leader is getting that mortar to fire its last HE again at those Germans on the corner of the fence yard. So let's have a look. So we've got a 5 is a hit. So what happens to them? They're in the open. 5 or a 6 is a kill. 6, that's the kill. There is a senior leader in there. Let's see if it's him or 1 it is. No, it's not. It's just one of the rifles. So that has taken them down now. They are now on 6 shock against 5 men. So they are pinned still, but nothing else. And then he's getting this, he's reduced shock off these guys, and then they are also firing as well at the same target. So they're still in light cover. We're looking for 4, 5, 6s to hit. And we have hit 6. So that's 3 on the LMGs, 3 on the rifles. So let's do the LMG first of all. 6 is the kills, 2 kills. Let's just count those up. A 3 doesn't count for anything because they're in light cover. And on the rifles, that's 3 nothings. So we've got 2 hits in there, 2 kills. Let's see if again junior leader, 1 or a 2 it is. It is the junior leader, sorry, the senior leader. See what happens to him. 6 is he is lightly wounded, so that's a bad things happen for the Germans again. So senior leader wounded. 5 is minus 2 points off there, so God, they're now down to 2 on their force morale. This is incredibly tight, and they've lost 1 more. So he was on the yes, he was the LMG team. So that is now down to 1 man. So they are now firing on 6 instead of 8 dice. Right, the Germans' morale is tumbling at this point. They're down to 2, so they're only rolling 3 dice. They've lost a jumping off point as well, but they don't roll for that. So they're losing the 1 in the barn. And they have got 2 5s and a 6. So that basically just gives them chain of command points. They can't do anything else. 6 does nothing on its own. So it's back to the Indians with their 5 dice. Let's see what they get. 2 6s. They retain the phase. 2 3s. Sorry, a 5 there. Misread that. So that takes them up to a chain of command point. Chain of command dice. A 1 and a 3. Exactly what they needed. So that's a turn that into a 4 for their senior leader. And they still retain that phase. Okay, so they're doing exactly the same again. Senior leader getting this squad here to fire at the Germans there on the edge of the farm. 4 5 6 as a hits, so we'll get rid of our misses. And oh, we have what, 7 hits? Blimey, so that's 3 are going to go on the LMG team and 4 on the rifles. Let's have a look at the LMG team. 6 is the kills. 5, that's a shock, so that's then put them up to 4. So that's 7, so that means that section is now broken. But let's just do the hits on the rifles team. So we may get some more kills in here. So let's have a 6 is a kill, a 4 is another shock, so that's, yeah, that's a rifle off. Well, first of all, let's see if it's the senior leader. 1 and it is. No, it isn't, so it's one of the rifles. But that means that that section has definitely broken. So they are going to flee from that position. Section broken is a bad things happen roll. So we roll for this. Now, let's have a look. If we get a 3 or above, the Germans' morale will collapse and go to 0 and the Indians win. It's all on this dice roll at the moment. Let's have a look. A 3 is minus 2 points. The Germans' morale goes from 2 to 0. And the Indians have won against all the odds. So there we have it. The Germans on 0 fell from 2 to 0 with that last section collapsing. The Indians are still on 5. Now, I can't believe that that's happened. What a reversal of fortune for the Indians. After they lost this section here on this attack, I thought once that smoke had cleared and they lost the M10 as well, I thought that was it. This was game over. Their morale was just collapsing. These guys over here in this corner were just getting battered by the Villa fire. I kind of knew that was going to happen, but it was an idea just to keep the Villa at least under some kind of check so they weren't being able to reinforce elsewhere. But it was this section here and their senior leader, who was the men of the match, they battered the Germans that were holding this position from the start, who are now fleeing for their lives in the vineyards. Meanwhile, they've still got a section here. It's pretty much intact with only a couple of shock, and that was going to come round and probably try to cause a bit of trouble. As I say, we've still got this junior leader here who was able to get out of the site firefight there. That would have affected morale pretty bad for the Indians. But that's the state of the table at the end of this game. Really enjoyed that one. That went from way from 1 point. I thought the Indians had definitely lost that about 3 or 4 turns ago, to be honest. I thought it was all over for them, but they were able to pull it all the way back, able to keep that accurate fire going with the help of the mortars as well, and just basically battered the Germans on their morale. brilliant game. That was a really, really good game of Chain of Command. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed playing it. There were loads of excitement on that one. It shows you what a great system of rules this is, really. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that one. I'm kind of glad the Indians won on their first outing in Italy, and also the fact that I've had the M10 for the first time on the table as well. Didn't do great, but you know, it did what it did, and it was just good to see them actually clear out the farmyard. If you've enjoyed this, there's plenty more after action reports of Chain of Command and other games as well across the channel. Check them out. Do subscribe if you like it. Leave me a comment, say hello, and keep watching for more Chain of Command in Italy games in the future. Thanks for watching.